Hey guys, this is Divyansh, and a lot has happened in my life since I last posted a YouTube video. To be honest, I started my YouTube journey well before I even started on Instagram. But about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I decided that I would rather focus on Instagram Reels, try to grow them. Let's see what happens. Well, things happen. When I crossed 100,000 followers on Instagram, I was like, I have to upload this video, the one you're watching right now, then. And by the time I made up my mind about figured out how to do the lighting, the setup, how to lead the conversations, how to tell my horror stories here, I crossed 200,000 followers there. And so I was like, okay, now I'm not gonna think up anything. I just put up my lights, I just said before the camera, and I'm just gonna start talking. Since this is the very first video, I don't know, I haven't figured YouTube out yet. I did it with Quora, I did it with Instagram, so I'm pretty sure that somehow we'll find our way for our stories here as well. Um, but this video has to be raw because it has to be, because this is not a story, to be honest. Everything that I'm going to say in this video, it happened with me. It was real. And this is not super scary. This is not super horror. This is not. It's just. It just happened. And I don't know how much of it was real, how much of it was just imagination or me just being scared in the wilderness. Um, but something happened. Let me just tell you that. Last year, I took a trip to the Himalayas. I was with my friends. We joined this trekking group and we took a trek to Kuari Pass. It's in Uttarakhand. Beautiful place. I always love trekking there in the mountains. I've been to Uttarakhand treks I think thrice by now, and always the atmosphere, the people you meet, just living there, just imagining those conditions, the cold, the cold. I was raised in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. I have played cricket in 45 degrees Celsius at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. For me, a proper this Marwadi guy who has lived all his life in the summers, who can brave summers, basically, to be there in the cold and negative temperatures, it was crazy. And I got fever along the trip. I got like all those symptoms. You get your blocked nose, bruised nose because of all the scratching, cold fingers, shivering all the time, headaches. I'm gonna skip straight to the story. Okay, so imagine late December, temperatures negative. It's really cold, snow patches everywhere. Even when the sun is up and the wind is blowing, it feels like someone is rubbing a knife against your skin. It just gets crazy over there. At around 7:30 or 8, after we were done having dinner, we had a horror night with the guides. So I was on this trek. We had our dinner. Everyone was in the tent. All these like 20, 25 people. And the guides just love to tell all of these horror stories. Of course, the mountain, the atmosphere, the cold, the scariness, no sounds in the light, no cars, nothing. You hear strange sounds all the time in the night. So they started telling us stories of like proper horror stories in the mountains. Things the guide said that they have experienced themselves or they have seen themselves. Or I don't know how much of it was fiction, how much of it was truth. But even if it was fiction, this was just really good storytelling. So they have a legend of mountain paris. Basically, these mountain fairies who can visit people, and the local lores go that they ask for beedies from strangers, and if you give a mountain fairy the beedies, then you're just gone, or something bad happens to you, or something like that. The lores are vague, but the lores are quite popular. I'm sure I'm using fairy as a term. When you're using that, your image goes to something very beautiful, gorgeous, and someone with porcelain skin and blonde hair and just probably twinkle like fairies, which is just flying around. These mountain fairies is not so much. You imagine some grotesque female figures over there in the mountain who are calling out your name or something and just asking for beedies, and if you do offer, you are gone. But they told us some really good horror stories that night. post that, so at around 8:30 or 9, everyone just went to sleep. It gets really dark, it's cold, everyone just wants to sleep so that they can begin the trek early in the morning. So we were four guys. At around 12 in the night, the four of us, we came out of our tents and we sat on the ground. There was like a wooden log sort of a thing. We sat over there and we just looked up. It was super cold, super windy, super chilling. But at the same time, the stars that you get to see over there, because there are like no city lights that are gonna block your vision and make it hazy. The thousands of stars, you can see like falling stars almost like every 2 to 5 minutes, and probably one of the most clearest skies that I've seen in the night. Just beyond beautiful. The first time you see it, you just lose your mind. We were looking up at the stars, and we were discussing our career problems, trekking. Should we use the mule? Should we put our luggage on the mule or not? And just boys talks basically in general. Suddenly, out of nowhere, we started hearing movements in the bushes, which were a bit far, but still, it was like all of a sudden. And in the night, you hear all the sounds. You're hearing some strange animals, some strange sounds, roars. I don't know whatever goes on over there. But this sudden movement in the bushes, and every single one of us just went like this all of a sudden. And then we looked at each other's faces. And then we thought probably some guide or probably someone would have gotten up to use the washroom or something. 10 seconds later, dogs start barking over there. Two dogs. There were two dogs and they both started barking in unison. We don't know whether it was a wild animal. We don't know what it was. But it was, when you're living in that kind of a place, you are sleep deprived, you are tired, and you have just heard horror stories. Your mind jumps to the obvious conclusion that it's a ghost or it's some spirit or something else. We just got up quietly, went to our tents, just went to our beds, rolled up in our sleeping bags, put on some layers, closed our eyes, wishing that I hope whatever it was, it didn't see me. At around 2 in the night, I think at around 2 or 2:30, and I had slept for just about 3 hours. At that height, oxygen is less, so people tend to hallucinate, and this is documented well across. So again, I'm gonna say I don't know whether what I saw after this was real or not, uh, or was it just a hallucination. I have an open mind. I don't just term things like a bhuti tha or yeah, this was just spirits or something like that. So I woke up somewhere around 2 in the night, and I could sense that someone was like walking right across, like right next to my tent. And again, it wasn't like it was a person, a human walking like 2 footstep. It was something like 4 footsteps, or something was dragging along, or I don't know how to explain it, but the sound, it was just weird. And there were pebbles and small stones and gravel and everything. So the crunch of it was like quite evident that something was just passing by me. I had just woken up. I just opened my eyes because of that sound, and I suddenly realized that I couldn't even turn my neck to face that side, and I couldn't move my hands, and I couldn't move my fingers, and I couldn't shake my legs, and I was just lying there paralyzed, just awake, but my body was still asleep. So this happens, like it happens in sleep paralysis. When you are in deep sleep, you get into this REM sleep cycle, rapid eye movement. So your body shuts down all sorts of movements. It sort of goes into a sleep paralysis to recover itself. Sometimes what happens is there is some sound, there's like a scary dream, something else, and your eyes just might open up and you might be like awake, but for a few minutes you will not be able to move your body. Your mind will still be a little disoriented, and it's just a very scary experience. You can't move your body, you can't speak anything. So it happened with me, and I couldn't turn my neck, I couldn't do anything. I was just lying there, and my eyes opened, and I kid you not, before me there were like these pulses of energy just floating in the air. Like I don't even know how to explain it. It was so, it's like you see those dementors in Harry Potter with long flowy cloaks and everything. So just remove their face and imagine those cloaks, and they were just like moving across above my head, inside the tent. Now, I was sleeping with my friend Sushant, and I tried calling out his name, but of course he couldn't hear me. He was already fast asleep. And so the sounds, this whatever this energy, this wave thing was, um, and me lying there paralyzed, just conscious, in like minus 10 degrees or something. I don't even know what temperature it was. And I immediately told myself, because I like to think logically about these things. I told myself that you were tired, you're probably hallucinating whatever it is you're seeing. So I close my eyes, and I just wish that will go away, or I'll just start moving my body somehow. I was still trying in that sleep paralysis. Nothing was happening. I opened my eyes again after a few seconds, and the energies which I thought ki it might just be a hallucination, it will just go away. When I opened my eyes again, it was like this close to my face, this close, and just moving around. And that was the time I gave my everything to yell my friend's name. I was just like, I don't know, I was just gathering all my strength, and finally it just snapped, and I could suddenly get out of my sleep paralysis, and I yelled out his name. I woke up. He also woke up, surprised what happened, and then I look up, and the energies, they are gone, and I don't even know how to explain it to him. So I was like, अभी कोई फायदा नहीं है try करके. So I just said कि no, I was just asking for the water bottle or something, and just he went to sleep. But obviously, I couldn't fall asleep after that. With that kind of experience, you just can't. So that very night, when I was still in that half sleep, half tired zone kind of a thing, I took out my phone, and in the notes app, I just started writing this story. I had already started writing, like doing horror reels on Instagram by then. The next day, we trekked up till the till our summit, and we trekked back. I was like leading the pack, so to say. I was walking quite ahead of the people. There was a place where I found the snow patch, and I ventured to the left. I left my group. I was very close to my camp, but I left my group, and I ventured into the wilderness on my own. The atmosphere already adds a lot of horror effect. Winds, the sounds of nature, the trees, the snow, the mountains, they all add the vibe. So I was away from my group. I was in the wilderness at this area. And when you are alone, doesn't matter if you still have daylight, when you're alone in such places, it gets scary. Since the previous night, I had had such an experience, and I still did not know how to explain it to myself. I was just saying that it was hallucination. You were just hallucinating. So when I was there, I was making this reel, and I don't know why, but and I was alone. There was like no one nearby me at this point. As I was like walking and recording this reel, I started hearing like someone was following me. I don't know, there were like footsteps in the leaves, there were like dried leaves fallen all around, and I just felt like there was, someone or something walking behind me. And again, thought the same thing, just imagining. And obviously, when you're reciting horror story in this atmosphere, it gets super scary. So I was doing that, and I was making the reel. I was talking to myself in the camera, and I could still hear sounds. And my camera man, I was looking that मेरे पीछे कोई आ तो नहीं रहा है. If someone walking behind me or something. I was cautious, but I was doing it, and of course I did not see anyone in the camera, but I felt something. I wouldn't say a presence because I don't know what it was, but I just felt something. Few minutes later, um, I got super scared when that sound was coming again and again, and I was having this sense that someone is following me, and there was no one around, and genuinely फट रही थी मेरी उस point पे. So I was like, just जितना record हो गया, that is it. The rest of it we'll record in the morning near the campsite. Any snow patch we'll find, and we'll just do it over there. So I closed my phone, and I started walking down, and I kid you not, as soon as I like switched my phone off, as soon as I removed the recording thing, I felt something just move from behind me. Just like I don't even know how to explain it. And that was the time when I got shit scared. And all those things which the guides were saying, the mountain fairies, and I'm still getting goosebumps just remembering that time. uh, whatever entities that the mountains have, spirits, ghosts, I don't even know whatever to call it. I will not label them as anything, but I just felt a presence. I would just say that. And again, like I said, this is not a scary horror story. Nothing gory is gonna happen. No plot twist is gonna happen. No one's gonna jump or anything. But at this point, I just said, and I don't even know why I said this, okay? And this is gonna sound super, I don't know how you're gonna take it, but I just said out loud, like I spoke out loud because I was sure no one is gonna hear me anyway, so no one's gonna think this guy's gone mad. I said it out loud that whoever you are who are following me, please let me go safely. I have dreams. I want to share these stories, your stories, just stories with the world. And please, if I have offended you, I'm sorry for that. If I've like trespassed on your territory or something, and I was saying all of this in Hindi and did not sound this polished, it was so like very scared and I was like shivering with my teeth and everything. But I said that, and I said, please let me go safely. Please let me pass safely, and I want your blessings. I want to be a great storyteller. I want to share my stories with the world. Please shower me your blessings and allow me to share my stories with the world. Basically, I said that. 5 minutes down later, I suddenly just felt something just go. You suddenly feel weightless all of a sudden. Just felt that whatever it was which was following me, if there was anything, it has gone. I did not know kya hua, kya nahi hua. I did not stop to think. I joined my group. Few minutes later, we trekked back to the camp. Next morning, I woke up. I recorded the rest of the reel. I sat by a snow patch near our campsite and I recorded it over there. Again, this is the time when I had roughly about 10 or 15,000 followers on Instagram. All of that happened. We came down, we came back to the base camp, we trekked back to the village where we started from, we came back to Rishikesh. So I was in Rishikesh and I just had one day to myself. I was just enjoying in my diary. I was writing, I need like my goals for the next year 2023. I want to have like 100,000 followers on Instagram and all of that. While I was sitting there in a cafe, I was editing this reel, and that very night I think I went to sleep at around 10. I had a bus to catch to like go back to Delhi in the morning, so I slept at around 10. Just before sleeping, I had published that reel on Instagram. Woke up, I did not check my phone because I was getting a bit late. I had called for a taxi, so I got into my taxi. I took my luggage and everything. I checked out of my hostel. I reached to the bus stop. There was like this again. It was like bus stop on a highway. So बस एक मैगी का stall था where I had like a Maggie and chai, and it was just like total fog all around in Rishikesh. Again, like probably 4 or 5 degrees Celsius temperature, super cold. This was just like a highway at like an intersection or something. And while I was standing there, that is when I realized that my phone had been like on sleep mode all night. So I just unlocked the sleep mode, and I just saw the Instagram notifications, and it was just you can just scroll for an hour. So many notifications were there. And this was a surprise because I had never seen anything like this before. So I knew ki there was some kind of attraction which I got on that reel which I posted the previous night. I was thinking I would have got like 50,000 views, and that was very optimistic number for me even back then because I had just 10-15,000 followers. It doesn't happen that way. So I thought it must have gotten like 50,000 views, and I opened my Instagram, 780,000 views or something in just one night. And the first thought which I had, that back in that mountain 3 days ago, I had spoken to a spirit, which I thought was a spirit or whatever it was, to help me share my stories with the world. The very first reel, which I posted as soon as I came back, it got like 1 million views in about 10 or 12 hours. It ended up doing over 5 million views in the coming week. And that was the reel which got me like my first batch of like huge chunk of followers. Even people like Beer Bicep started following me after that reel. And it was just like, it was crazy because this was my first time when I was doing when I had like something go that level of viral. And I was coming back to Delhi in the bus. I couldn't sleep because all along I was thinking the same thing. Shit, was it real? Was it not just my imagination or hallucination? Um, did I actually like make a pact with the spirit without even knowing it? And are they gonna really help me now to become a good storyteller and help me reach my stories to the world? Now, about 11 months later, we just did, we are at around 220,000 followers on Instagram. In just these many months, we have easily gotten over like 100 million views for my horror reels, my horror fiction. Just 2 days back, one of my horror fiction reels did 55,000 followers in just one single day. I knew that if I start a YouTube horror thing, which this is going to become, I don't know how the long format thing is going to work. For my first video, that is why I just wanted to be as candid as possible. Just tell my real experience because I'm very upfront about it. Anything else that you'll see on this page, on my Instagram page, it's all fiction. I'm a fiction writer, I'm a screenwriter, I'm a storyteller, I'm a novelist. I've been doing this for decades now. If you know me from Quora, you know already the kind of stories I used to write over there. And everything is just fiction. But this one thing, 0% adulterated, purely my story. Again, like I said, no horror, jump scares, ghost sightings, anything. Uh, Sometimes you just feel things, you know. And again, I'm still skeptical. I don't say outright that I like encountered a spirit or energies or whatever it was. Could really have been hallucination. The circumstances were really scary. But when I came back, and immediately the first reel ended up doing over 5 million views. And then I think the very next reel after that also did somewhere around 2 or 3 million. It was at my hometown. I shot beside a lake. There was a tribal horror story there. But again, also did 2 or 3 million views. And then the like follower base came, and then the story started exploding. Then every few stories would go for 1 million views. Then that number kept crunching. Now it has become crazy on another level. And I'm sure if we visit this video next year, the numbers are going to be much more. And I pray that they are the same for YouTube as well, because of YouTube revenue chahiye yaar. Instagram does not pay anything to you for all those views. Um, this was my real life experience with whatever it was in the mountains. And that is like one of the reasons why Himalayas feature so heavily in my stories, because those, I just love Himalayas. I just love the mountains, and horror stories in the mountains are always, always, always so good. That was my story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, just subscribe to this channel, please, because now I am going on YouTube 100% prop horror content. I'm still gonna figure out how we're gonna do it, animated stories, or it's just gonna be my narration with some AI images or something like that, like we have been doing on Instagram. Let's see what works. It's again gonna be a little bit of trial and error. But like my horror stories on Instagram are condensed to fit that 90-second format. Here, they're gonna be really chilling, really, I would say 10-minute, 15-minute views. But again, if you're a horror story fanatic or you just like seeing me on camera or something, just subscribe to this channel. It would mean a lot to me. And now this is becoming a serious thing. I'll start with posting at least, I'll try to post at least like 1 to 2 videos every week. And let's see how it goes on YouTube. Thank you guys if you are here still. It's been a long time. And just let me know in the comments what you feel about this story of mine.